In September 1994, a 14-year-old British teenager named Paul had a very simple dream. He didn't want to fight Dark Lords, he didn't want to break school rules, and he certainly didn't want to save the world. He just wanted to enjoy the cozy yellow basement of his boarding school, which smelled like earth, honey, and peace. But unfortunately for Paul, he did not go to a normal school. He went to a place where the faculty budget was spent entirely on dangerous monsters instead of mental health counselors. Welcome to Hogwarts, and more importantly, welcome to the most ignored corner of it. For centuries, the school's social hierarchy was built on a brutal system of prestige. If you wanted all the glory and main character syndrome, the Sorting Hat sent you straight to Gryffindor. If you wanted to star in a true crime documentary about magical radicalization, you went to Slytherin. If you wanted to study 12 hours a day just to cry during your exams, you ended up in Ravenclaw. But if you were just a regular person who valued loyalty, hard work, and not dying before graduation, you were a Hufflepuff. Cool, Paul thought. Our common room is right next to the kitchens. This is an absolute win. For years, Hufflepuffs were treated as the background noise of the castle. While they blew up the corridors, Paul just walked past them carrying a stack of books, completely ignored. Until the autumn of 1994, when Headmaster Dumbledore stood up and made an announcement that shook the school. Children, this year Hogwarts is hosting the Triwizard Tournament, a legendary competition full of honor, international prestige, and a very high probability of gruesome death. The tournament had been banned for centuries because the death toll was simply too hilarious for the ministry to cover up. But now it was back, and the rules were incredibly strict. To prevent underaged idiots from throwing their names in, Dumbledore drew a magical age line. Some underaged idiots tried to bypass it anyway using an aging potion. It went exactly as expected. The selection night finally arrived. The tension in the Great Hall was palpable. The goblet spat out the first name, the champion for Beauxbatons. Then came the champion for Durmstrang. And then, for the first time in human history, the magical lottery selected a Hufflepuff to represent Hogwarts. His name was Cedric Diggory. He was handsome, he was smart, his hair blew in a non-existent wind, and he possessed a perfect blinding smile. For Paul and his housemates, this was absolute stonks. The background characters were finally stepping into the light. They went into full production mode. They printed glowing badges. They bought massive yellow flags. They threw underground parties. "Look at us, Paul. We are finally the main characters," his friend yelled. "Nothing can ruin this." But remember, this is Hogwarts, and the universe has a massive structural bias toward one specific kid. The blue flames turned violent, shaking the entire stone pedestal. Because a few seconds later, the goblet spat out a completely illegal fourth name. A name belonging to a scrawny kid with round glasses who just couldn't stay out of the news for 5 minutes. "Harry Potter," Dumbledore muttered in complete disbelief. "Harry Potter!" he roared across the hall. The entire Hufflepuff table instantly went from peak euphoria to total existential rage. "Are you kidding me?" Paul yelled, jumping onto the dining table. "He's 14. He didn't even qualify. This is blatant corporate favoritism for the chosen one." Behind closed doors, the school faculty and ministry officials had a very serious, professional discussion. "This is unacceptable," yelled the foreign headmasters. "He is a little baby boy, but he gets a double entry." But Dumbledore and the ministry just shrugged. "Well, the magical cup said so. Guess we have to break our own ancient binding contract. Sorry, yellow guys." And just like that, the tournament began. And for Paul, it meant his daily life turned into a logistical nightmare. For the first task, the school administration imported 4 giant fire-breathing monsters right next to the school greenhouse. "Hey, Paul," his herbology teacher said the next morning, "since the Gryffindors are busy holding a pep rally for Potter, can you go clean up the dragon dung? Here is a small plastic shovel." "But Professor, that thing breathes literal military-grade napalm," Paul protested. "And my uniform is 100% flammable cotton." 10 points from Hufflepuff for complaining, Paul. Now go get the shovel. During the first Task Stadium match, Harry Potter flew on a broom and won the crowd's hearts. Meanwhile, Paul spent the afternoon dodging stray fireballs behind the bleachers. Then came winter, and with it, the announcement of the Yule Ball, which presented a new economic crisis. Paul looked at his Gringotts bank statement and realised dress robes cost a fortune. He ended up attending the ball, wearing an old curtain he stole from the basement corridor. He spent the entire night eating stale snacks alone, while the main characters had intense, dramatic teenage breakups right in front of the punch bowl. For the second task, the school administration literally kidnapped 4 students and threw them into the freezing bottom of the lake. The entire audience was forced to sit on cold wooden benches in the freezing winter wind for 2 whole hours, staring at a flat, empty sheet of water. "Wow, this is truly a magnificent spectator sport," Paul muttered, his teeth chattering. "I love watching random bubbles rise to the surface while my toes contract frostbite." Finally, June arrived. The grand finale. The third task. Cedric and Harry entered the maze together. The Hufflepuff flags were waving. The school band was playing. The hype was at maximum capacity. Hours passed. The sun went down. The maze grew completely silent. Suddenly, a bright, unnatural flash of light erupted from the dark centre of the hedges. 2 bodies suddenly teleported back onto the stadium grass. Harry Potter, crying hysterically, clutching onto Cedric Diggory, who was lying completely still. "He's back!" Harry screamed to the crowd. "Voldemort is back! He killed Cedric!" The music cut out instantly. The yellow flags dropped into the mud. The realization hit Paul like a physical blow. But if you think the school administration handled this tragedy with transparency and safety investigations, you don't know how this system works. Instead of calling the magical police, the Ministry of Magic simply put on blindfolds and plugged their ears with their fingers. They held a quick, quiet memorial service, told everyone to stop asking questions, and then cancelled the end-of-year exams to buy the students silence. On the train ride home, Paul looked out the window and realised the darkest truth of his world. You are not the chosen one. You are not the villain. You are just the uncredited collateral damage of someone else's destiny. So the next time you feel like the universe is completely ignoring your hard work and playing by its own rigged rules, just remember Paul, because you didn't lose the game, you were just never given the plot armor to play it.